A detailed summary and reflection on Sauptika Parva, the book of the sleeping, the night of revenge and broken rules, the pain of loss turned into destruction, the last fire of a son's grief, and the curse that follows a warrior. Sauptika Parva is the 10th major book of the Mahabharata. It has 18 sections and 870 verses. This book covers the terrible night after day 18, when the war on the field is over but the killing does not stop. 3 Kaurava survivors launch a night raid on the sleeping Pandava camp. The book shows the massacre of almost all the remaining Pandava warriors and children, the revelation of deep grief turned into destruction, and the final confrontation that leads to a terrible curse. It ends with Ashwatthama wandering away alone, carrying wounds that will never heal. Sauptika Parva is full of darkness, broken promises, and deep sorrow. It shows how war does not end when the sun sets. The pain continues into the night and changes good men into something they never wanted to be. The story starts in the quiet after day 18. The field is covered with bodies. The Kaurava army is gone. Only 3 men are left: Ashwatthama, Kripa, and Kritvarma. They sit under a banyan tree in the dark. Their faces are tired. Their hearts are heavy. Ashwatthama cannot sleep. He thinks of his father Drona, killed by a lie while he sat unarmed in meditation. The book gives you the weight of his pain without commentary. It shows a son who loved his father more than anything and now has nothing left but rage. The 3 men talk quietly. Ashwatthama sees an owl kill sleeping crows in the tree above him. He watches the owl move through the dark without mercy or hesitation. He thinks, if a bird can kill at night, why not me? He tells the others his plan. He will go to the Pandava camp and kill them while they sleep. Kripa tries to stop him. He says this is against dharma. Warriors do not attack sleeping men. It will bring sin that never washes away. But Ashwatthama's grief is too big for any argument to enter. He says the Pandavas cheated first. They killed my father with a lie. Now I will answer. Kritvarma agrees quietly. They move toward the camp. Sauptika Parva teaches about the danger of grief without a place to go. It shows that pain can make a man forget every rule he ever learned. The choice is wrong and the book never pretends otherwise, but it also never strips away the human anguish that drove him to it. War breaks men in ways that do not heal. The 3 men reach the Pandava camp. It is quiet. Everyone sleeps after the long and terrible day. At the gate a huge spirit blocks Ashwatthama's way, a wall of fire and shadow that stops him cold. Ashwatthama feels fear move through him but then thinks of his father and something else takes over. He prays to Lord Shiva with everything he has. He offers his own body and soul. He says, Lord, give me the power to avenge my father. Shiva is pleased by this complete surrender. He enters Ashwatthama's body and fills him with divine power. Ashwatthama feels like Rudra himself standing in the dark outside that camp. His eyes burn. He receives a divine sword that shines without light. His wounds heal. His strength becomes something beyond human measure. It is worth sitting with this for a moment. Shiva did not order the killing. He gave power to a devotee who called with pure grief. The power came from a real and total surrender. But what Ashwatthama does with that power is his own choice, not Shiva's command. A son's love for his father calls down the god of destruction. The god responds to the love. The man remains responsible for what the love drives him to do with the power he receives. That distinction runs through everything that follows this night. With Shiva's power inside him, Ashwatthama enters the camp alone. Kripa and Kritvarma guard the gates outside and kill anyone who tries to run. The camp is full of sleeping men who who fought the last day of the war and lay down exhausted without any thought that the war might follow them into the night. Ashwatthama goes first to Dhrishtadyumna's tent. Dhrishtadyumna is the man who cut off Drona's head while Drona sat unarmed. Ashwatthama kicks him awake. Dhrishtadyumna jumps up and tries to fight with his hands. He begs for a weapon, says, "Let me die like a warrior." Ashwatthama says, "No. You killed my father without honor. You get no honor now." He chokes him and kicks him to death on the floor of the tent. The sounds wake the camp. Ashwatthama moves into the open and roars. The 5 sons of Draupadi, the Pandavas, run out with weapons and shoot arrows at him. He cuts them down. He moves through the camp like a fire that has found new air. Shikhandin attacks. Ashwatthama cuts him in two. Uttamojas, Yudhamanyu, Panchala warriors, one after another they come and one after another they fall. Blood covers the ground. The tents catch fire. Men run, but Kripa and Kritvarma are waiting at every exit. Almost everyone in the camp dies before morning finds them. Only the 5 Pandavas, Krishna and Satyaki survive because they were not there that night. The killing of Dhrishtadyumna without weapon or dignity is the mirror image of Drona's death. One unarmed man killed by deception answered with another unarmed man killed by deception. Ashwatthama wanted justice for his father. What he created instead was another version of the same wrong. The book shows this without softening it. The night massacre is one of the darkest passages in the whole epic precisely because it shows how grief, when it has no wisdom to guide it, does not avenge the dead. It only adds to them. After the massacre, Ashwatthama goes back to Duryodhan. Duryodhan lies broken by the lake where Bhima left him, his thigh shattered, dying slowly through the night. Ashwatthama kneels beside him and tells him everything. The Pandav camp is gone. Dhrishtadyumna is dead. The sons of Draupadi are dead. The Panchalas are dead. Duryodhan listens to each name and something in his face changes. But something if off. Ashwatthama tells Duryodhan that all Pandavas are killed, even he does not know it yet. The 5 warriors he thought were Pandavas are indeed Draupadias. But Duryodhan smiles. It is the first time since his fall. He blesses Ashwatthama and says, "You have done what no one else could." Then he closes his eyes and takes his last breath. There is something deeply sad about this moment. Duryodhan dies feeling avenged, but what he is avenged by is the killing of sleeping men and children. The news that brought him peace at the end is news of an atrocity. He goes out of the world feeling like something was set right, and the reader is left sitting with the knowledge of what was actually done to make him feel that way. His last breath marks the true end of the Kaurava line, and it comes on the back of the worst night of the whole war. The Kaurava story ends not in battle but in a sleeping camp, and that is its own kind of judgment. The Pandavas return to their camp in the early morning and walk into something that takes the breath out of them. Bodies lie everywhere. The tents are burned. The 5 sons of Draupadi are dead where they fell. Dhrishtadyumna is dead. Shikhandin is dead. The Panchala warriors who have been with them through the whole war are dead. Draupadi stands in the middle of it, and her grief is beyond words. She has lost her children in a single night. After surviving 18 days of war, Yudhishthir feels the hollow center of victory open up beneath him. He says, "Our victory is empty now." He means it completely. The survivors tell them who did it. Ashwatthama, Kripa, Kritvarma. The Pandavas feel their grief turn into something hot and directed. They decide to find Ashwatthama and make him answer for it. Krishna drives the chariot. They follow the trail and find Ashwatthama near Vyas ashram on the banks of the Ganga. The pursuit is not just anger. It is also grief looking for somewhere to put itself, which is exactly what drove Ashwatthama to the camp in the first place. The circle is visible and terrible. Ashwatthama sees the Pandavas coming and knows he cannot win against all of them together. He is cornered and exhausted, and the power that filled him in the night has left him with the darkness. In a last act of desperation and rage, he takes a blade of grass and speaks the mantra that transforms it into the Brahmashira, the most destructive weapon known. He releases it at the Pandavas. Arjuna sees it coming and releases his own Brahmashira in response. The two weapons meet in the sky above them, and the world responds. The ground shakes. The sky burns. Rivers move in the wrong direction. Vyas and Narada appear between the armies and shout at them to stop, or the earth itself will not survive what is being unleashed. Arjuna has the skill and the self-possession to pull his weapon back. He does it. Ashwatthama cannot. His grief and his rage have been burning since the night his father died, and there is nothing left in him that can pull something back once it is released. He redirects the Brahmashira. He sends it into the wombs of the Pandav women to kill the next generation before it is born. The weapon finds Uttara, Abhimanyu's young widow, who is carrying a child in her womb. The child dies inside her. That child is Parikshit, the last of the Pandav line, the one who would have carried everything forward. Krishna moves. He uses his divine power to reach into that darkness and bring the child back. Parikshit lives. But the act of targeting an unborn child is the final line Ashwatthama crosses, and it is a line with no return. Krishna looks at Ashwatthama and speaks. His voice does not rise. He does not need to raise it. He says, you will live for 3,000 years. But your body will carry wounds that never close. Blood and pus will flow from them without stopping. You will wander the forests alone, unwanted, unable to die, crying for an end that will not come. No one will speak to you. No shelter will hold you. You will carry the weight of this night for 3,000 years and find no relief in any of it. Vyas stands beside Krishna and tells Ashwatthama to give the jewel from his head. The jewel was set in his forehead at birth, a divine protection that kept him from hunger, fear, and the weapons of gods and men and Rakshasas. It has been part of him his entire life. Without it, he is just a wounded, cursed man standing in the grass by the Ganga, with nowhere to go. Ashwatthama reaches up and removes it. He hands it over without fighting the command. He knows what he has done. He knows what it has cost. He accepts the curse the way a man accepts rain when there is no shelter left. The jewel is later given to Draupadi as something real and physical she can hold, a token that justice reached even this far into the darkness of the night that took her children. Ashwatthama turns and walks away into the forest. He does not look back. The book watches him go without ceremony. He was a great warrior, the son of a great teacher, a man who carried divine gifts from birth. He ends the story of this war walking alone into the trees with open wounds and 3,000 years of loneliness ahead of him. That is what the night in the camp cost him. Sauptika Parva is the darkest book in the Mahabharata, not because of its scale but because of its intimacy. The war on the field had a terrible grandeur to it. This is smaller and wars. Men killed in their sleep. Children killed before they are born. A son's grief for his father burning so hot that it consumed every rule he ever learned and left him cursed and alone. There is no grandeur here. There is only the wreckage that grief without wisdom makes. Ashwatthama is not a villain in the way that word is usually used. He is a man who loved his father completely and watched that father die by deception while sitting unarmed. The pain of that is real. The book never dismisses it. But it shows clearly that real pain does not become permission. The rules of war exist precisely because everyone on a battlefield is in real pain. If grief is enough justification to break every rule, then there are no rules, only whoever is suffering most at any given moment. Ashwatthama breaks the rules and gets 3,000 years to think about what breaking them actually produced. The attack on Uttara's womb is the moment the book uses to draw the final line. Everything before it was terrible, but it happened to warriors. This reaches past the war entirely, into a woman's body, into a life not yet begun. Krishna's response to it is immediate and absolute. He saves Parikshit. Dharma survives even the most deliberate attempt to end it. But the attempt itself stands as the clearest possible statement of what revenge without limits looks like at its furthest reach. The jewel taken from Ashwatthama's head and given to Draupadi is a small gesture inside all this enormity, but it matters. It says that what was done to her children was seen. It was not absorbed quietly into the long list of wars. Casualties. Someone was made to give something real from their own body as acknowledgement of it. It does not bring her sons back. It was never going to. But it is honest about the fact that some wrongs demand more than words. Sauptika Parva sits between Shalya Parva and Stree Parva. With the night massacre, the story moves from the open field into something more enclosed and more personal. What follows in Stree Parva is the grief of the women, the mothers and wives who come to the field to find what is left of the men they loved. But before that grief can be properly held, Sauptika Parva makes sure the reader understands that the war's last act was not a victory march. It was a night of killing in the dark by 3 exhausted, heartbroken men, one of whom was carrying a god inside him and still managed to spend that divine power on sleeping people. Ashwatthama walking into the forest at the end of this parva is one of the Mahabharat's most haunting images. He does not die. He does not get the warrior's ending he would have wanted. He gets something harder, continuation without relief, life as punishment. Wandering as the sentence for a night that cannot be undone. The war produced many kinds of endings. Bhishma chose his death on his bed of arrows with teaching still in him. Karna fell in the mud with his curses catching up to him. Duryodhan died by the lake with a smile on his face that cost him everything to earn. Ashwatthama gets no ending at all. Just the forest and the wounds and the years. The Pandavas survive Sauptika Parva, but they survive it into an emptiness. Their sons are dead. Their allies are dead. The camp that was supposed to celebrate the end of the war is a ruin. They have won the kingdom they fought for, and there is almost no one left to share it with. That is where the Mahabharata leaves them at the close of this parva, standing in the ruins of their victory, about to walk to the field to begin grieving in earnest. The war is over. The grief is just beginning. This essay is part of the Deep Thoughts series on Mahabharat.at, exploring the Mahabharat's most difficult moral questions, its characters, their choices, and what those choices mean for us today. Read the full essay and discover more at https://mahabharat.at.